Welcome back to wagertalk.com. This is part 2 of the question and answer session. We really appreciate you guys sending your questions in each week, and we're going to get things started with James asks us, what do you guys believe is the best sport for live betting? And I'm going to throw this one to you, Preston, because you are a guy that does a ton of live betting. Which sport do you like the best for live betting?
Right now, the 2016 Euro Championship is my go-to. I've been doing pretty well, actually, just watching the first 10 to 20 minutes of each match and then betting. I'm doing it because I've only bet the games I could sit in front of a TV and watch just for action. If I was out or doing something and I'm not watching the matches, then I won't have any action on them. So people that have seen me post them, if you've been betting them, we've been lucky. But it's been fun to bet. But ultimately, for me, I only do basketball and football, legitimately, or as far as my bet sizing goes. And occasionally, I think I had like 2 baseball bets this year in game, and they both won. They're really good spots. And so those were very rare. I'm not following enough baseball and watching it in person to really know the situation as often. But ultimately, for me, the number one, I guess I should say, is basketball. And that's just the runs and droughts within a game of basketball, just the nature of the sport, I think offers up a lot of value to set up middles or just to get a better, adjusted number after. A good example was that game 5, although there were a ton of points. I know people that bet under, 218.5 live, 222.5 live, 233.5 live, and they ended up winning all of them because it slowed down in that fourth quarter. So there's just a lot of opportunities, I think, in basketball that maybe football wouldn't regularly offer.
Do you find more of the in-game being with the totals or with the spread?
Oh, both. I think it's similar for sure, especially if you have even teams and it's a game like in the regular season. If a team's down 20, they might just throw in the towel because it's game 43 of 82 or whatever. Right. But in the playoffs, especially, I think there's a lot of value because you're getting the max effort generally from each team, and if they're pretty evenly matched and there's some swings and stuff, I think the sides are just as valuable as totals.
Yeah. Personally, I probably like the totals better, just being the situation where you talk about the ebb and flows of games. A lot of times you get a first 5 minutes that comes out slow as, teams are, they've made changes from the last game and it's working. So now you've got to adjust to the changes. It's a chess match, but again, it's algorithms and everything's numbers, and they adjust the total accordingly. And then all of a sudden, you're back to a higher paced game, and you got a cheaper number. So definitely look at that. Good question.
Little things. I know this video is now going to probably run a little long, but here's just a tip of something that happened game 4. I was watching with some friends casually, and Will Hill had a 205.5 on the live line, and I thought it was short, and because both teams in the middle of the second quarter were now in the bonus. It went to commercial, and everywhere else started popping their in-game running because usually they come up at commercial break, and they were like 207.5 and 208, and then Will Hill's jumped up to 207.5. But the reason it was short was because I don't think they really had factored in, because they have their in-game algorithm, because you mentioned algorithms just spitting out a number constantly every possession. It didn't really take into the fact that, okay, now both teams are in the bonus for 6 minutes to end the half, and so is going to the line because it was an over-the-back foul that was a dead ball that sent it to commercial. So even just like 2 points right there of value just watching the game, and I was just casually following along and noticed it immediately. But if you're just paying attention, you're watching the games and you're looking for spots like that, like they do exist, and you'll find some value.
All right, this one I'm going to go to you. This is more your expertise. Coda 1850 wants to know, what player do you think is going to turn out to be the best player drafted between picks 3 to 8? Everybody talks about the top, 1 and 2, but from 3 to 8, do you see any value there?
Yeah, I think there's plenty, and there's a lot of if you're looking for a career, there's going to be some younger guys that need some work that potentially could be. I think immediate impact, the best player in 3 to 8 is going to be Buddy Hield. I think this day and age, this NBA league, if you can shoot a three-pointer as well as he can, and not only can he just shoot and spot up and shoot threes, he's very good step back off the dribble, similar to Steph Curry. Not at that level by any means, but more so than even like a Klay Thompson. Like, he can shoot a three-point ball from far and off the dribble, which is very rare. And in Minnesota, with all the guys around him, he won't need to create his own shot like he did in Oklahoma either very often. I mean, he'll be getting open looks, standstill, corner threes. I think he'll be a great asset if Minnesota picked him. That's what I was getting at. I think I kind of jumped my idea, my train of thought. Zach LaVine's not a starter in the NBA. He's maybe an energy guy off the bench or something. But if you put Hield there with Wiggins and Rubio as the guards, Karl Anthony Towns at center. I think that's a really good piece and a guy that can make an impact scoring the ball for sure.
All right, and we've got Tommy Taylor wants to know, is there anything distinctive that either of you look at before you jump on or off a trend? And, for me, I'm going to say, when you look at a trend, you've got to sit and look at it and ask yourself, does the trend make sense? There's different trends out there for everything. And we've talked about it many times is it something that, is sustainable? If it's something that, if you're talking about, a coach, a team that has a different coach, look and see a couple games if that team's going to still have that personality, because it could be totally different, things of that nature. What do you look at?
Yeah, the short answer for Tommy is I don't even use trends. That's period. I don't use them at all. Literally don't use them. College sports especially, you'll see 10, 11-year trends. It's like coaches are different. Players' kids could be on the team by now. Like it's just completely different personnel. Like why would you even care about something between, a rivalry matchup from 10 years ago? Generally, more often than not, almost all the time, the trends can just be, you can flip a coin 10 times and 9 out of 10 times it can be heads. That'll happen, 3% of the time or so. That's a guess, so someone's going to yell at me. But 3% of the time you do that, 9 out of 10 times it'll be heads or tails or something. So it's just a matter of variance. I think you're only going to be really finding value in numbers and situational spots and everything else. A trend, unless there's some remarkable something or other
in-game
that
trends
makes sense.
And trends of sports that are longer. Football's a short sample size. You only, in the NFL, you got 16 games. College football, you got 12. But if you're talking basketball, baseball, you're talking a lot more games, and so you have a bigger sample size. Things that are in game, and then you can go back, or in season, and you can go back and see if that was a carryover. Teams that hit left-handers better than right-handers, day spots, night spots. I do look at that stuff, but I will put more credence to
as far as like
season.
win-loss numbers on Wednesday nights or something. That's never going to actually matter.
All right. Last question we have comes from Johnny from Detroit. He wants to know, will the city of Cleveland ever win a championship? I guess that should have.
Where's Brian? Yeah.
I heard a rumor, I'm not sure, but I heard Brian actually flew to Pittsburgh today. He wanted to see a championship parade for the first time, and that's where he's at.
He wasn't sure if he was going to last to see one himself. He might be able to in a week.
Yeah.
The Cavs are right there. They've stolen the home court.
What's the series price? They're still huge dogs.
I have actually even looked.
It's large.
They're plus 230-ish in Game 7, plus they have to win and minus 2 favorites. So.
Yeah. So, not happening. Don't worry about it. All right, we took our little shot.
It is Cleveland. Yeah.
We took our shot at Brian. It's not here. We can do it, All right, guys. Hey, you want to get a $50 sign-up bonus at Wager Talk after your first purchase of $12 or more? Just email support@Wager Talk. Put your username in there. We'll give you a $50 bonus just for signing up after your first purchase at Wager Talk. It's our thank you to you for joining the team at Wager Talk. We'll be back next week with more here at WagerTalk.com.